I'm going to start there. It says, Fox says, love the Hangouts and the insight on how you would go about optimizing a location-based business, not a service area business with multiple GBPs. Yeah, so that's a great question. So what I recommend is to try to, all you have to do is you can still treat a storefront business as a service area business in that you can, if desired, you can create location pages and supporting location pages to try to push maps coverage area, expand the maps coverage area a bit to as wide as possible. Also, because it can help to perform better in organic search. But when you're talking about a storefront business in a single city, then the only way that, and I'm getting to the point about the multiple GBPs in a minute. Okay. Well, let's just start with one storefront business. Okay. Because, people say, well, how can everything you teach is about service area businesses? How can I apply this to a storefront business that is a single location business? Well, you can do the same thing. You can still treat the site as if it were your service area business in that you can create location pages and you can target the adjacent cities or towns that are immediately adjacent to where the business is physically located, or you could target specific sections or districts or boroughs within the city, right? Or even neighborhoods. You can target specific neighborhoods within the city. So that's how you can treat a storefront business website like a service area business website, is by adding supporting location pages. Okay. So now how do you do that with a multi-location business with multiple GBPs in the same city? Well, most cities are going to have some sort of um, boundaries or, sections or whatever that are either sections, districts, boroughs, whatever they call them, because it's different, it can be different, and or neighborhoods. And so you can usually find some sort of identifier that you can use as a modifier to the location, so that you can, distinguish or distinguish the difference between the different locations when they're all in the same city. Because they might share the same city name, but most of the time, and sometimes they might even share the same zip code, but oftentimes they'll share the same city name but have a different zip code. And so, again, you can try to identify sections, boroughs, districts, or neighborhoods within the city that then you can add as a modifier. Okay, so I'm going to give you some examples of that. So, like, if we did a search, I'm just going to use a couple of bigger cities as examples. It is a little bit harder in smaller cities, but um, you can even use like a street name if it's a small city and it doesn't have specific sections, boroughs, districts, or a list of neighborhoods, then you may be able to just go in and add like a street name as a modifier to like the location landing page in the SEO title, right? Or in possibly the URL. So let's say it's, company.com/city, whatever that city is, hyphen street name or something. And that's just an example if it's a city that is a smaller city that has multiple GBPs where there's not official sections, districts, or boroughs, or you can't identify particular neighborhood or community names within the city that then you could use as a modifier, right? So here's an example of a larger city. I'll give you a couple of examples, guys, because it's different depending. Each area is going to be different and how their naming convention, etc. So Austin, Texas is just an example. Okay, but Austin, Texas has, if you look at the geography, right, you scroll down, you'll see like cityscape right underneath here. It says, sorry, let me go back. It says, see also list of Austin neighborhoods, right? So if you click on that, it opens up lists of Austin neighborhoods. And then now this shows you the neighborhoods within central Austin, right? Then north central Austin. So these are the different sections of the city: north central, northeast, northwest, far north, East Austin, West Austin, South Austin. Within North Austin, there's 4 smaller subsets, smaller geographic areas that are still defined sections within North Austin. So you understand these are different sections of the city. This is a big city, of course. But then even in some of the sections of the city, there are subsections, as you can see here. So what you do is identify now remember, these are all different kind of boroughs or districts. Let me give you another example, and then I'll talk about how you can identify the best way you can just go ask ChatGPT, by the way. I'll give you an example of that in a minute. But like Las Vegas is another one, right? Las Vegas, you can go to geography, and then you can look at nearby communities, and this starts showing nearby cities and then neighborhoods. So nearby cities are going to be, communities, from what I understand. A nearby means it's not in the city, but it's adjacent to it. but neighborhoods are in the city. So again, these each have separate Wikipedia pages for different sections of Las Vegas: downtown, the Lake, Summerlin, and West Las Vegas. Within each one of those, oops, I didn't mean to do that. But within each one of those sections, you may be able to find more specific modifiers that you can use. Does that make sense? So that's what I would do. The other thing that you could do, like I said, if it's a very small city that doesn't have a list of communities, neighborhoods, boroughs, districts, sections, whatever you want to call it, then some of the other things you can do is use things like Neighborhood Scout, um, scout.com, sorry. That's it. I got to spell it right. Yeah, so Neighborhood Scout is one that you could use to identify, put the city and state name in, and then you'll see, like, I'll just use an example, uh, Culpeper, VA. And so here's like, and again, for small cities, you might need to use something like this, where you then extract neighborhood names and then try to identify where those neighborhoods are. And then you could add a neighborhood name as a modifier. Do you see what I'm saying? That there's also at the bottom of the page, you can sometimes find a different or some other neighborhoods in the list that's down here. So it's this one here and this one here on the right hand side. Another one, again, for smaller cities, would be homes.com. There's another one here that you can use to identify neighborhoods. So if we just go grab that again and paste this in and look for geography, you can find neighborhoods in here too. In fact, you might have to use the search query. Let me just demonstrate this. Say neighborhoods in Culpeper, VA, homes.com. Right there, and then you could look right there, neighborhoods near Culpeper, VA, for example, and try to find neighborhoods that way. So this is just, I'm just giving you some examples. But lastly, you can always go to ChatGPT. Let me see if I can pause the screen for a minute and open up ChatGPT, and I'll show you an example of how I use this all the time. Because when I'm doing SEO audits for link building clients, or anybody for that matter, when I get to the location entity section, I do go through the process of identifying the most relevant entities. And so I oftentimes have to do this. So let me see if I can, here we go, show this to you. Yeah, okay, here we go. All right, so here's an example. I asked ChatGPT 4.40 or whatever, according to the Wikipedia page for Dallas, what section of Dallas is the following address located in? And I just put the address of whoever's project I was optimizing or editing. I wasn't optimizing, I was auditing, excuse me, not editing or optimizing. I was auditing some location, some Google business profile or whatever for a client. And this was the business address. And so Dallas has sections and boroughs, etc. And so I asked Google, according to the Wikipedia page, ask ChatGPT and give them the Wikipedia page or any one of the large language models, really, it doesn't matter. And then just ask them specifically where that particular address falls within which official name or whatever of this section of the city, etc. It's going to tell you right here. It's located in the Asian Trade District, also known as Dallas's Koreatown, situated in Northwest Dallas. So an example of that is the broader section of the city is north. So we know that business was in Dallas, as it clearly states right there, right? But that zip code is in Northwest Dallas. And more specifically, more narrowly, Koreatown, excuse me, or the Asian Trade District. So again, if you just go look at even like the Asian trade, that's a very specific modifier, right? Asian Trade District, Wikipedia, right? Look at how it's titled, Asian Trade District, comma, Dallas. So that's how I would modify the SEO title for the specific Google business profile, the location page. Like, in other words, I would have, let's just say Bradley's Bagels, Asia, bagel store or whatever. I don't know what the Google business category would be for that, but Asian Trade District, comma, Dallas. So that would be the actual location modifier right there. Do you understand? Now that's a very specific location entity within Northwest Dallas. You understand? So that's how I would do that. You could also, again, you could put something like that in the slug, right? So maybe you have bradleysbagels.com/Dallas hyphen Asian Trade District or ATD. right? Just a shorter URL. But again, now it's a specific identifier for a particular section or location within the city. So there's a number of ways that you can do it as I just described. Hopefully that was helpful. Let's see if I can. So hyperlocal SEO Fox. Yes, correct. Hyperlocal. That's exactly right. You need to, again, if you've got multiple locations that are all sharing the exact same city, might have different zip codes, but the same city, you could use a zip code too. I don't particularly like to do that, not like in an SEO title and stuff. I would prefer to have something like that in the SEO title, but the zip code in the URL could be done. Does that make sense? Like as the modifier. So Dallas 75220 in this case. In any case, the point that I'm trying to make is it's important to identify some sort of location modifier that you can add. And in most cases, you should be able to find one. All right, moving on.